just going to want to say a few words about dukkha. Dukkha, so it's translated as suffering, as unsatisfactoriness, or maybe even dissatisfaction. I quite like dissatisfaction, because that gives a much more subtle sense of this kind of twitchiness that we feel when there's nothing very wrong, and yet there's somehow nothing's quite right either. And sometimes people think that it's perhaps a negative thing that Buddhism puts so much emphasis on dukkha, unsatisfactoriness, dissatisfaction, as if it's saying that, you know, life isn't very good, and, you know, all you need to do is to really see that and focus on suffering, as it were. And of course it is important that we notice unsatisfactoriness, but I think in a way it's good to distinguish between noticing suffering and noticing dissatisfaction. When we experience suffering, particularly extreme suffering, perhaps if it's really gross, it does lead to faith. Perhaps it does. And according to the spiral, it can lead to faith, suffering. But often it doesn't lead to faith. And I think the reason it doesn't is because it's so then overwhelming, if suffering's very overwhelming. Or if we don't just have a framework such as Buddhism to understand it, it can lead to being overwhelmed and very fearful, or giving up, or having a victim mentality. But what really is important is that we see the dissatisfaction in our satisfaction, if you like. So I was thinking about how we want things and how we look forward to things. You know, maybe we look forward to something we're going to do, or something that we really want, that we want to buy. And maybe we wait a bit and save and so on and really want this thing. But when we get it, it's so fleeting how long we're happy with it. So what happens is, as soon as we've got what we thought was the thing we really wanted, another pops up. And then we do exactly the same thing all over again. And to see that habit and how it does not lead to any kind of a lasting satisfaction is really important, because when we really see it, you cannot help but respond by, well, taking practice seriously, seeing that what the Buddha said is absolutely true. That desire, that craving, by responding to it, by pampering it, by pandering to it, only increases it. I know this sounds really elementary, it sounds such simple elementary stuff, but this is what's interesting about the Dharma. If we really understand some of the elementary stuff that sounds elementary, you know, there lies real progress, because it's by not seeing how we repeat these patterns that we, you know, endlessly suffer. At the moment I'm having a year of no shopping, and before I started the year I noticed that I was going online and buying some things in anticipation of no shopping. But one of the things that, I don't think I've told anybody this, but one of the things I did is I really, really wanted a Kindle Fire XD. Was it DX? I can't remember. Anyway, it was just the thing I wanted. So I ordered one, and I ordered a case to go with it. Really nice coloured case and everything. And about an hour after I'd bought it on Amazon, I cancelled it. And so I didn't get it. And in that hour, I really had to fight with myself. I really wanted it, but I knew I didn't need it. I knew I didn't need it. What did I need it for? You know, yes, it did all sorts of wonderful things, but I can live without those things, you know. And it's become much clearer to me since this year started of no shopping that, well, I'm really glad I didn't buy it. Because, you know, it was almost like a panic, like a drowning person, you know, clutching at something. And I didn't need to clutch at it. It's an interesting practice. I've done this before, had a year no shopping. Obviously there's some things I can buy, and they are absolute essentials. So it's food and something that is absolutely essential. And I check with Bodhivajra if I think something might be essential, but I wonder if he'll think it's not. But what's quite interesting about it is I noticed that for the first 4 months, I think this is so easy, you know, this is absolutely simple, but get to about 6 months and something happens. I realise how I cheer myself up, how I give myself a little lift by buying something. Maybe it's a writing book or something like that, which I like writing books. Or certainly books, you know, already it's like I've come across so many books that I would have loved to have got, and yeah, books are, I do not need those books, they are not essential. So I have to sit with the discomfort of trying to understand why why I've got this urge to buy something. You know, it's like a habit. And it's because I see things, you know, I'm being fed things from all directions that are possibilities of things to buy. That's all. So it's good to see how one is influenced by adverts and so on. But something else has happened recently, and that is that when I have been near shops, which I don't have occasion to go to much at all, I go near shops and they really do look quite, they bother me quite a lot. They look quite obscene in a certain way. There's all these shops piled with stuff and persuading us that we need new ones all the time. You know, everyone's waiting for the latest iPhone to come out and queuing in London for miles to get one. And it looks mad. It absolutely looks mad. It's interesting because the Buddha had said somewhere, I don't know quite where it is, you know, that we are all in a state of madness. And of course Freud said the same thing. We are all more or less mad. And you can see it when you remove yourself. I know we can experience this after just a week's retreat at a retreat centre. Come out of the retreat and you stop at a service station and everybody looks harassed, and it's very sobering. You know, you feel like you've been in a pure land, and you feel like you want to maintain this contentment and calmness, and you don't want to get caught up, but of course you do. You get caught up again. So yeah, somebody at a class to me said the other day, I wonder if you could give me a book, you know, a book list that I can really learn about Buddhism. I just had to say, you don't need more books. You don't need them. You know, if we really take a teaching like the Four Noble Truths, you know, suffering, the cause of suffering, the ceasing of suffering, and the Eightfold Path that leads to the ceasing of suffering, you know, gosh, there's a lifetime of work there. So yeah, keep it simple. That would be the message. Keep it simple.